Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where we proudly provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm your co-host today, Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to our first reunion show of 2025. If you follow us and you've subscribed to our channels or downloaded our app, you know that we have a reunion show at least twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year. And it's different than some of the other shows that you will see unless you actually watch our Talking Head series. So this show is an opportunity for team members, for guests, for sponsors to take time to present their work and have you get to know them a little bit better. So after each person introduces themselves and what they do and how they can bring value to you, how they can you can contact them, we'll have a little bit of a chat. So let's get the show started. Joining me is a very dear friend. He's been with me since the beginning when we started USA Global TV and Radio, and even before that, when it was Rapping with Dr. JACALYN. Red O'Loughlin is in the great state of Texas in the United States, and he is so many things in terms of accomplishments and achievements. He's a veteran, which we love. Thank you for your service. He is also a best-selling author. He's a longevity expert. He's a distinguished Toastmaster, and he is my book coach, and he is a very dear friend. Let's welcome Red to the show. Hi, Red.
Howdy, all y'all. Wonderful time down here in Texas, Houston area. The thing that I love about the show is there's just so much information out there, so much value from so many different areas. I met one of the people we were having on this morning. I had not met her before, and it just sounds like another major professional you have on the team. So, but regardless, 2025, wasn't sure I was going to make it this past year. A lot of things happened health-wise. If you ever get a chance to get shingles, don't. Get the vaccine. Trust me, it is not something you even want to think about getting. The pain associated with that is absolutely horrendous. But anyway, I came down with shingles in June, thought everything was clearing up, came down with it again in July, and absolutely everything the doctor gave me, nothing worked. And eventually, body got strong enough to about 10 weeks before I finally started getting some relief. But anyway, I got through that. And I've had dry eye now for about 10 years, maybe a little bit longer. And I finally found a doctor here in my local area who has 94, 95, 96% success rate treating dry eye. And voila, my dry eye is gone and my tears are just streaming down my face. You're probably seeing me tap them a couple times. But anyway, so from a health perspective, you never know when things are going to happen. Take COVID. You know, we're all going along just having a nice, happy life, got our plans in there, and then all of a sudden, screech, halt. So I think from a big perspective, our health is one of those things we need to really and truly pay attention to. I'm a researcher. I research the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem. Treat symptoms, and you'll always be treating symptoms. But what's even worse is that cause is continuing to develop, and you never know what's going to happen. And so that's what I read about. That's what I research. That's what I write about. That's what I speak about. I have over 1,000 original content articles on LinkedIn, about 1,500 on my website, and All of them deal, I'm going to say all of them, the vast majority deal with some aspect of health and wellness and looking at it from a cause and effect perspective. So with that, I'm going to stop right now and turn it back over to Dr. JACALYN so we can get to our guest today, and we'll dive more into my world a little bit later on.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Red. I really appreciate it. And I want to let people know that you were the host of the Corner Bookstore, The Wise Ones, and you also have your own Talking Heads episode that you've been doing, I think, for at least 3 years now, which is incredible that you have enough content because you're so knowledgeable and have so much experience that you be able to do a talking head show every single week for 3 years is incredible, at least 3 years. So let's get to our guest. Our guest is Maggie, the substitute teacher, who is also one of our team members. And I met Maggie on the Power of Etiquette and Manners with Philip Sykes and the British School of Excellence. And I could tell the way she carried herself, the way she was doing, she was cooking on the show, that this was a true professional. And when I saw her YouTube channel and I saw what it was she was doing, I reached out to her and said, hey, I'd love for you to join our team, to become an elevated listener, and then to stream your content to our audience. So her content is food and femininity. And we've just confirmed that she streams every day, multiple times during the day, which, let me tell you something, is not an easy thing to do at the level that she's doing. She gets an incredible amount of interaction from her audience members. We get so many comments on her videos, and people are watching, they're participating, and I'm just thrilled to have her here today. So let's welcome Maggie, the substitute teacher. Hello, hello.
Hello, good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year to you all.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you as well, and good morning. Please tell our audience where you are streaming from today.
Yes, I am in Atlanta, Georgia. So Atlanta is home for me. I guess I'm a Southern girl, but born in Ghana in West Africa. And I just came back from West Africa for the holidays. So I love to travel. So you might find me anywhere, but Atlanta is home.
Fantastic. I do see you traveling. I see cruises. I see teas, what's it called? Afternoon teas that you host. So please take your time and tell our audience a little bit about Maggie, the substitute teacher. Could we find out how you came up with this name? And then let's find out about everything that you're doing and how you can help our audience.
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to be here and to share. And I always like to say hi, everyone. I'm Maggie. My name is Margaret. Maggie is my childhood nickname. And Maggie, the substitute teacher, is because I actually have a cooking channel. That's how all of this started. And I cook with sugar substitutes, dairy substitutes, and gluten substitutes. And so my man actually came up with the name Maggie, the substitute teacher. I was thinking, I'm not a teacher. And he said, I know, but everybody can relate to a substitute teacher. And so the name stuck. I was going to do something like Cooking with Maggie, but he said, that's boring. So like a lot of people, I've been on my own health and wellness journey. I'll be 50 this year, and I've always carried extra weight that I've struggled with. But as I've aged, the weight problem started to turn into a health problem. And I used to be pre-diabetic. I used to have elevated cholesterol. And I used to have borderline blood pressure. So I went to see a metabolic specialist and I was tested for food sensitivities. And then I got a list of foods that I can have and a list of foods that I need to avoid. Unfortunately for me, that's where the sugar, dairy, and gluten came from. So when I started just cooking better, I would take recipes that I would make for the family because I'm a mom, and I would just try and make healthier versions of those recipes with those substitute ingredients. And what I would do is cook privately like I always did, and then I would just post the finished product online. I started on Facebook, and people had so many questions. First of all, did you make that? It looks amazing. Where did you get the ingredients? How did you make it? So I was just responding in the comments at first, going back and forth. And then one day I decided, you know what? I'm just going to show people what I do, turn the camera on, and then just started streaming what I was already cooking for myself or for the family and walking people through it. And so, I'm the daughter of a retired home economics teacher. My mom cooked for the family every day. And so that's what I do. So that's how it started.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Maggie, for sharing that. You know, I didn't know about the substitute part of that. That is brilliant. What a great title. I was thinking at some point you were really a substitute teacher.
I know so many people think that. I work in tech, and I am the daughter of teachers. Both of my parents are retired professors. So I love education and learning. And I guess maybe I am a teacher of some sort, but I know a lot of people may have to make dietary changes, and you think the food that you have to eat has to be boring and bland, but we like to have fun. I like to sing in the kitchen. I like to recipe test viral recipes. Sometimes there's cooking explosions. Sometimes the kids are in the stream. You never know, but it's relatable. But yeah, that's where Maggie, the substitute teacher, came from.
Well, that's terrific. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to ask a question and then I'm going to go over to Red. And I want our audience to know we don't have any scripts. So who knows what anyone's going to ask or what anyone's going to respond with. So I just wanted to let our audience know we don't use scripts on our platform. And that's because we believe in elevated listening, because if I'm looking at a script and what question I have, I'm not going to be listening. So Maggie, what I'd really love for you to share is for people who do not cook on a regular basis. Hello, that would be me. I like to cook, but I just don't cook on a regular basis. Are there some go-to recipes that maybe you could make in advance and freeze or something if you're a single person like myself? Anything you can share on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what I tell people who are just starting cooking. Maybe you're new moms or trying to figure this thing out. Maybe you're newly married. Start with the basics. So start with what you like. I like to say, find 2 proteins that you like. So maybe it's chicken and fish, maybe it's beef and pork, whatever it is. And then when you buy that protein, be able to make multiple meals from that. So let's say it's chicken. Let's say something simple like chicken breast. And if you don't want to cook every day, I understand. My mom actually used to do batch cooking. So she would cook the main ingredients on the weekends. And then we were busy. She was working. They were PhD students. And so she would basically assemble the meal. So we had a hot dinner every night. But you can take chicken breast and let's say you go ahead and either boil it or grill it or however you want to prepare it, then I would separate it out. So you could have, let's say on day 1, plain grilled or seasoned chicken breast for, let's say, chicken sandwiches. You could also cut up that chicken breast maybe on day 2 and top it over some greens or some spinach and some crunchy and savory toppings for a nice salad. You could also make a soup out of it. You could shred it, add some barbecue sauce or buffalo sauce and do, some type of, barbecue or buffalo nachos or something like that. So it's really about stretching and being able to make multiple meals out of those ingredients. So I think even if you do freeze food or cook food down, I don't have a problem with leftovers, but, some of the people that I cook for don't like leftovers. So you can find a way to reconstitute food and make it fresh, even if the main ingredient has already been prepared. So that's one of the best tips that I have.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you. I do have a confession, which is I buy the premium chicken of the sea in the package, the blue package, and then I eat that every day with a salad or something. So that makes it even simpler, but
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Red, what would you like to ask or share with Maggie?
Well, in a similar way, I guess, I'm the oldest of 9 kids, and my mom finally had to go back to work. I was in 7th grade, so I come home and start, cooking. And it wasn't unusual for me to make 18 pork chops or hamburgers or whatever, and that was for the dinner that night. And so it's one of those things that was expected that when my mom got home, the dinner was ready to go. So it was a learning experience, and I loved it. I still do it today. I do the mise en place, everything I do ahead of time, and I enjoy doing that. And one of the things I learned from my father-in-law was that an hour after dinner, he's still in the kitchen cleaning up everything. And it's one of those things that if you're cooking, it's the responsibility. You're buying the food, you're prepping the food, you're fixing it, you're putting it on the table. Well, part of that responsibility is to clean up everything. And so when you're done, you walk out of the kitchen and the kitchen's clean. Everything is, now I love to let everything air dry a little bit. My wife is not quite of that same mindset. So she'll come in there and grab something and dry it. But it's something I love to do. And it's, in fact, last year I started experimenting with apple strudel. And I probably 40 different apple strudels over the year. And okay, what if I change this? What if I change that? So it's one of those little things I like to do. I started experimenting with Alfredo sauce.
Mhm.
And I found out, well, you put it in the refrigerator overnight, it's not quite the same quality the next day. So what if I change something else? And I found, okay, that's good. It works. It remains overnight. So it's one of those things that I need to start watching a little bit more of what Maggie has to offer, because I'm sure, she does this almost for a living, so to speak. It sounds like I do it because I love it. And so that's one of those things that I really and truly want to learn more about.
I agree with you. Well, first, thank you for the compliment. I am no cooking professional. I always start my streams by saying I'm just a mom and a home cook, because I know that people who have gone to culinary school are proper chefs. I am not. But I do agree with you. The way that we were raised, you participated in family meals. And I have the best memories, even if you don't come from much, having those family meals together at the end of the day. We didn't have all these devices and all these distractions and people different, eating in different parts of the house. That was the expectation. Somebody's cooking, someone's setting the table, someone's cleaning up. And so I tried to do that, when I was in my marriage, and then also with the boys. I think that it's one of those things where you build those skills and you get an appreciation for, the work that it takes. My mom always told me, clean as you go. There's always going to be a mess, but I think, when tummies are full and hearts are happy, there's a little bit more joy in cleaning up, and then you do it again the next day. But I understand.
I love that. Tummies are full and hearts are happy. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I want to change the subject for a moment, because we are streaming on YouTube right now on USA Global TV and Radio, and also Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and on Maggie, the Substitute Teacher. And you have a tremendous amount of experience on YouTube. You have a huge following, and you actually went to a YouTube conference. I think you've won awards. Tell us about when you started streaming, and what was that journey like on the way of getting to where you are?
Oh my goodness, it's taken me by surprise. I still can't believe that anybody really watches what I do, but my content is kind of branched out. Now it's food and femininity, because I teach all this other stuff too, because people have asked questions. But like I said, I had a Facebook channel ever since the kids were small. It was just to kind of share, family milestones. And that's where I started posting the plates of food that I was making. And during the pandemic, like a lot of us, I was so drained watching the news all the time and how depressing it was. And so I started watching another content creator. He's still online. It's the lead attorney. And I heard him say, you know what, if you're over 35, you have life experience that other people want to know. You should start a YouTube channel. And I just thought to myself, you know what? People are always asking me about these recipes. Maybe I should start a YouTube channel. I thought my audience would be like me, other busy moms just trying to get a meal on the table. But what I've realized is, that traditional family values, that, welcoming people into your home and your kitchen and just kind of creating that space, that's something that all of us have in common. And so the first stream was horrible. I burned the pancakes. I had one camera. I had to put it close to the stove, and I was bending down so you could see me and the pancakes. It was a disaster. And all of that stuff is still up today, but bit by bit, and, watching the playback and learning from other content creators, watching other cooking content creators, and really just being myself. This is a hobby for me. It's a passion project, and I've been just as surprised as everybody else. But the thing that really took it, I guess, kind of viral for me, I was invited to come to London for a really large content creator who was doing a series called Wife School, I think it was. And, I had an opportunity to shoot my shot. And she was doing all this different wife preparation. I said, well, I have a cooking channel. If you need somebody to teach the cooking portion, I'm your girl. And so she invited me to London, and I went to London for the cooking collab, and we did the cooking collab, and it was great. But while I was there, since she made all kind of other content, she invited me to come sit on a podcast. And I said, you know what, I'm here. There's really nothing else to do. I might as well go for the experience. So I'm sitting on this podcast with a dozen other people, some I knew, some I didn't know, mediocre tutorials and reviews, Melanie King, other people. And I'm just watching, and I'm just like a kid in a candy store, and there's all these lights and cables and equipment, and they're talking about relationships, which is, again, something that a lot of people feel very passionate about. And it was very contentious in that podcast. And I never really understood why people were arguing, what men want, what women want. I'm just this small town girl. I'm just a mom in Atlanta. And I said something in the podcast, and the room just went silent. And as a boy mom, I feel very passionate about the experiences that men go through. And I said, I think that men check each other a lot better than women do. And I said it's because men see themselves in younger men, but women see themselves as younger women. And I didn't really think it was that mind-blowing, but the room just went silent. People started clipping it. I think it has over like 3 million views now. And so people just started asking me all these questions about relationships and dating. And I'm over here like, I have a cooking channel. But if that's what the algorithm wants, now that's what I do on my channel. It's about 50-50 food content and 50-50 femininity content. And so that was the beginning of what you see now.
It's absolutely brilliant. And what I just want to share is you had opportunities that came to you and you went for them.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important because so many times people say, well, somebody asked me to do that. And I don't know. I don't have the confidence. I don't want to do it. I'm going to go over to Red, but my question for you now is, what would you say to someone out there who is following you and they're looking up to you and they're thinking, well, maybe I'll give it a shot. Maybe I'll start a YouTube channel. Are there some steps that you could recommend?
Yes, I do. And I do have a course, not that I'm pushing the course, but I do have a free preview of the course as well. You can go to teachablemomentswithmaggie.com. And I think module 1 is available for anybody to watch for free. So the whole YouTube channel, I have mixed emotions about this. I went viral on accident. And like I said, if people ask me today, I have a cooking channel. That's what I stand by because that's how this whole thing started. So for me, YouTube is a passion project. YouTube is a hobby. YouTube is fun for me. I do have a lot of support and I'm very grateful, a lot of generous support in my community. However, I've also had the opportunity to meet a lot of content creators that this is their full time. And there is a different stress level when this is your full time. I post and ghost. I do not look at views. I will respond to comments, maybe. But for me, I'm on to the next recipe or on to the next piece of relationship content. So I would caution people, if you want to do this as a full-time hobby, it is very, chaotic. It can be a wild ride. It can be fun. But I guess my advice would be, 2 things that I tell people, and I think this is in the course, and I learned this from the lead attorney as well. You need to pick something that you're good enough at that you can teach other people. So what do people compliment you on? What do people say? You know what, you're a really great party planner, or you're really great at public speaking. Whatever that thing is that you're good enough to do that other people can learn from, that's part 1. And then part 2 is you have to be entertaining. And for me, the entertainment comes from the joy that I have. Sometimes I watch myself back when it's time to make the plates and I just get so excited because I'm like, I didn't know this was going to turn out. And that's genuinely who I am. Sometimes people think it's an act, but no, clearly I do like to eat. So whatever you're good enough to teach and enjoyable enough to be entertaining, I think that is your sweet spot. And you go with that and you just, step by step, you're going to mess up. It's going to, you're going to have technical issues. But for me, if you don't bet the farm on your YouTube channel, you can have a lot of fun with it.
Thanks so much, Maggie. Just want to mention for those who are listening to this after the fact on a podcast platform, we actually have pulled up Maggie's website. She has a number of courses that are available, and I'd love for you to go there, and we'll give you a chance to get the website information again. Red, I want to go over to you since it's all new to you. What are your thoughts about what Maggie's sharing?
Oh, first off, I wanted to say that my mom's name was Margaret. And some people did call her Maggie, but she was Margaret May. And so I'm named after my father. I'm the third. And so the firstborn girl was going to be named after my mom. That was the way the things were planned. But you don't always plan on your birth date. So she was born on St. Patty's Day. So she became Patricia Maureen. But
Mm.
second sister down from a few in between was named Margaret May II. That's what's on her birth certificate.
Mm.
But as she grew up, we were down in Panama, and she would crawl on her hands and toes. And down there they have the tarantulas. And so she got a nickname, Spider. And so we called her Spider for the rest of her life. And anybody in the family could call her Spider, but outside the family you could not. But she became Spider, not Margaret. Now we knew who she was, but it's one of those things that, you know, names kind of come and go. And Maggie, it's a convenient name, but sometimes they're, you know, I'm named Red. My real name is Francis Michael. But somebody calls me Francis, I know they have no idea in the world who I am. It's a bill collector or somebody trying to sell me something, because that's my official name, but nobody calls me that. They call me Red.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my son is called Red, but he doesn't have red hair, but he's also the fourth. So it's kind of strange, but 8 out of 11 in my family are redhead. So a lot of red genes floating around in there. In fact, I think I can almost see some red hairs in our first great grandson. He'll be 1 year old here shortly.
Congratulations.
Looking down the road, yeah, there's maybe some little hint that might be a little fluff or two in there. But getting back to the content that Maggie was showing earlier, I think I've mentioned it to you before. I think we've all heard it. Somebody come up to you and says, you know, in 20 years, you're going to be an overnight success.
Right.
Because you're doing something and you're very professional at what you're doing. You show your passion. There's a lot of things going on. You have all these plans, but you're not getting the recognition. You're not getting the, you have a little bit of credibility, but you don't have that expanse. And so they're saying, well, you know, in 20 years, enough people will see you and you'll have that stardom that we kind of want in a way. But, you know, is it 1,000 views on YouTube? Is it 100 views on YouTube? Is it 10,000? It doesn't matter. We're doing our passion. It's what we're putting out there. It's our value. We're sharing with others. And you can tell by just looking at the body language that Maggie loves what she's doing. And so when she's doing that, you're putting out good, valid content, something that has, you know, I've been married 56 years. And one question I get asked occasionally on podcasts, what's your secret? Well, you know, it's, you found somebody early on, you fell in love with them, goods and bads, and all of a sudden you get married and I said, well, I'm going to change that person. You can't change somebody that you loved with that defect earlier. You have to accept that. Whatever that defect is, you have to accept it. It's part of, for better, for worse. You accept it and then all of a sudden, okay, fine. That's part of the package. Thank you very much. And it actually makes you stronger because there are just things that don't always mash together. And so you can stop. Okay. And then you realize that it's just a temporary perturbation in your time-life continuum. You have to deal with everything as it, like in golf, you play it as it lies. So we play marriage as it lies, but sometimes the lie is good. Sometimes the lie is not so good. Sometimes you get a free drop. But it's one of those things that you have to accept the person for who they are because that's who you fell in love with, not somebody that you have to change later on because, well, you know, that whatever reason you can rationalize. So from my perspective, I think being able to share what worked well with us, you know, a lot of times it's communicate, but how do you improve communicate? That's a generic, but acceptance, I think, is fairly easy. At least I think so.
Sounds like Rick could be a guest on your show.
You got the secret, right?
So Maggie, how do you come up with new and fresh content since you are streaming so often?
Oh, goodness. Okay. So I had to put some boundaries in place. So like I said, now it's kind of spelled out. I do cooking content and I do femininity or relationship content. So I started out, I had 3 channels. I actually still have 3 channels, but it's kind of like 2.5 now because all of it is Maggie. Travel is Maggie. Relationship is Maggie. Cooking is Maggie. Mom stuff is Maggie. Femininity and elegance is Maggie. But I was trying to put the content in the different silos online, and it was just too much to manage. So as far as the food content, these devices that we have, the more you consume, the more the algorithm is going to feed it to you. That can be good or bad, pun intended. And what I started doing when I started my cooking channel during the pandemic, I had the TV on, and it was on the news channels, and I was like I said, so overwhelmed with the bad news. So I wanted to have something kind of on in the background as I was working. I work from home. So I moved from watching the news 24/7 to cooking channels. So I would just watch cooking channels on mute, all of them. I would have it up, Food Network, whatever it was. And I would just kind of glance, and I would look at these amazing recipes, and I would say, oh, wow, that looks so incredible. Oh, shoot, I can't have that, and I can't have that, and I can't have that. And I was like, you know what if I try to recreate this recipe with my substitute ingredients? So that's kind of how it all got started. And then I started following all of those cooking content creators on social media. And so, like I said, when you follow them, then other home cooks pop up in your algorithm. And every time I see a home cook, I follow, or even a professional chef, because I think cooking is one of those things you've never mastered your craft. You can always learn. And I have fun with it. I have no problem messing up and saying, okay, well, that did not go well. We'll try again the next time. So when recipes come up in my algorithm, because when I open my phone, that's what I see, I create folders on all of my social media platforms where I save recipes that I want to try one day. And if I have the ingredients on hand, I'm like, oop, that's what we're making today. So I have an abundance, clearly, of recipes that I want to try. So that's what I do with the food content. Or if I'm cooking for the family or cooking for my man, if he says, I have a craving for this, let's make it. On the relationship side, I feel very passionate because, like I said, I am a boy mom, a lot of men in my family, no daughters, no sisters. And I just feel as I get older, I feel I have a heart for younger women. And I do believe, like back in the older days, the older men would teach the younger men, the older women would teach the younger women. And I see a vacuum of a lot of younger women that are just trying to figure this thing out. So that's where the courses that you saw came from. We're teaching elegance, we're teaching etiquette, we're teaching femininity, those basic soft skills that we should have gotten at home. A lot of modern women don't have. So unfortunately, there is a lot of content, especially on social media with the advent of these platforms. Sometimes people go online to show the worst versions of themselves. And I think social media can be a great tool to help and inspire, but I do reaction content if there's something that we can learn from, not to make a display of someone's worst moments, but I think if one person hears a different message from me and makes a correction that helps them have a better outcome, then I've done my job. So that's where the inspiration comes from.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That was brilliant. I want to go over to something that you just mentioned about etiquette and manners. And we have another team member whom I mentioned in the beginning, Mr. Philip Sykes, who's a dear friend. I just went and stayed with him in London with Leanne. Anyway, you took his course. And if you could talk a little bit about that, because I'd love to just give some recognition to the British School of Excellence and Philip Sykes. Can you tell us how you decided to go to that particular school and what were some key learnings from the courses?
Yeah, absolutely. The British School of Excellence is excellent. And I'll actually be in London in the spring, so I need to reach out. I have been on my own personal development journey for some time. I have no problem saying that I was one of those, I'll just say maybe professional women that thought, all of my accolades really mattered more than they do for the relationship that I wanted. And so unfortunately for me, a marriage of 10 years ended up in divorce. We co-parent really well for the boys, but I realize now that the skill set that helps me in the work world can hurt me in a relationship. So after the divorce, I really started doing some self-study and looking at how can I be better? And I realized again, as I get older, I don't want to carry the weight of the world. I want to be a feminine woman, and I was struggling with that. I was louder than I wanted to be, harsher than I wanted to be, snapped in just like it was not good. So I really started doing a lot of work in this space, and I've taken a lot of classes, and I continue to take great classes because even though I teach younger ladies now, I still want to improve. One of the courses that I took was the British School of Excellence afternoon tea course. I've also taken their course on, they have a dining course. Philip and his team has like a personal presence course. I just continue to consume it because I want to be the best version of myself. And now, several years later, I'm able to see the results of that work. And I'm a lot happier than I was, allowing myself to be kinder and be gentler and not as stressed out. And so that's, like I said, I started searching for it. The algorithm brought it to me. I started watching the British School of Excellence and seeing their programming. And I think they posted something on their YouTube page, community tab, and it was for afternoon tea. And I had been to afternoon tea in person, and this one was like a hybrid. It was in person if you were in London, but they had a virtual option too. And since I'm here in Atlanta, I said, yes, let me do that. So we were able to make our own tea stand and everything and learn the proper tea etiquette. And so that's kind of how it started. And it was a wonderful experience. And that's how we connected, Dr. JACALYN. I was invited to actually prepare afternoon tea. And I think I made scones on the last live stream. It was fun.
Yes, you did. It was so much fun. I wish I could have eaten them. And I did take Philip's Train the Trainer course in London just in November. And one thing I want to say about that and about the work that we're doing here, you, Red, all of us, is that you can actually have a community of people that you may never meet in person, or you haven't met, but you have friendships with them. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that was so cool, we'll be able to meet this person on Wednesday. Her name is Zunette. She attended Philip's course virtually. She is in Africa and she wasn't able to make it in. And I got to know a lot about her and feel like we have this connection. And now she's joined our team. So you just never know. It's just fascinating. So I'm going to stop there. Red, anything that you'd like to ask Maggie, because I know we've kept you way over your time. Anything that you'd like to, okay, good. You'd like to ask Maggie about her YouTube channel or about anything she's mentioned?
Well, actually, she kind of hit on a couple of little thoughts. You know, sometimes you say a word and, oh, okay. We used to have a DJ here in the Houston area, and at the end of his show, every single week, the last statement he made says, "Don't let anybody steal your joy." That ended every show. And joy has a specific meaning, and I'm not going to go into that. We're not into that level of detail. But it's just one of those things that you take a look at Maggie, great smile, wonderful facial expressions. And, there's a lot of happiness and joy, two different things. And when you have that joy and you're sharing it, it's just, as you say, you don't look at the negatives, so you don't let anybody steal your joy. So I think that's number one. Mm-hmm. But number two, and it kind of applies a little bit in, I think, all of our lives nowadays, is the fact that about twice a week, he would say, one mother can take care of 10 kids, but 10 kids cannot take care of one mother. Hmm. That is something that has changed over the last 50, 60, 70 years, where you used to have grandparents living at home and people would take care. And it's a different world now. Okay, well, $3,000 a month, I can put them in this assisted living or whatever it may happen to be. It's the family relationship doesn't have as strong a bond as it used to. And there's people who do take care of their mom or their dad or their aunt or whoever at home because that's part of who they are. And it's just, we don't see that as much today as we typically do. And it's something that we should, but again, our culture changes over time. I've been in the military 31 years. And as you say, you run into people. I run into people, do you know so-and-so? No, but all of a sudden, because we know somebody or we flew the same aircraft or whatever it may happen to be, we have bonds that we instantly make with people. And so just lots of things out there, and there's just so many things to take joy in. And I just wanted to kind of share that thought.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for your service. I've also shared, this is a big year for our family. So again, 2 boys, 17 and 15, and Marcus is our senior. So he's graduating this year, and my ex-husband's family is all Air Force. And so Marcus has decided to join the Marines. And so I'm very excited and proud and nervous. You know, I come from academia, but we're just incredibly proud of him. And he's in the delayed entry program. So 2 times a week and 1 Saturday a month, he's already working out with the Marines, and they have a little leadership position for him so that when he enlists, he'll already be, you know, a little bit further ahead. And one of the things that I do, I'll be doing it tomorrow on the Monday live stream, is cooking for the other poolees or other Marines that he works out with, because I know I'm that mom. The first time I sent him to work out with them, I made sure he had his little breakfast sandwiches and everything, and a van pulled up and there were all these other kids, and my heart just went out because they're looking at Marcus and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, you all didn't eat? And that sense of community, that's just how I was raised. You made sure that if you shared with others. Of course, we all like our things and our private space and all of that. But to me, I can't enjoy knowing that other people are suffering if there's something that I can do about it. So instead of just making one breakfast sandwich, you know, I'll make a tray of them and I take them in, and the sergeants get to eat and the kids get to eat, and it's really fun. And it's that kind of stuff that I post on my channel because it's really just what I'm already doing in everyday life. But I think you really can touch people and leave people better than you found them.
Dr. JACALYN, she mentioned something here I think is pretty important. You have a family tradition in the military, being a doctor, being a lawyer, being a teacher, it doesn't matter. There's a tradition. And in the military, that's very important. Over time, I was a very big proponent. You know, I had 5 different college degrees, totally different subjects. First one was chemistry, and that's the one I use most now. But I was of the mindset that, okay, everybody should go to college. Well, over the decades, I've changed my mind. And the experiences I've seen in the military, you know, if you have a tradition of military and it's there, that's a good one to have. But there's a lot of families that don't have that for whatever reasons. There's many of them. And my experience has been, if I was talking to somebody today, 15, 16, 17, 18 years of age, I'd say, give serious consideration to the Coast Guard. And the reason I'm saying that is the fact that the Coast Guard is a small organization. You're being put in an area where you, as 18, 19, 20-year-old, you're going to have a whole lot more responsibility than an 18, 19, or 20-year-old in the Marine Corps, the Air Force, the Navy, or whatever. And so that responsibility in 3 or 4 years, you have matured significantly more. Now, you may not have the same overall camaraderie you would have in the Marine Corps or the Navy or something else. The camaraderie is there. It's just not that ingrained. I mean, the Marine Corps really ingrains a different culture into you. That you know, you're a former Marine, you're not an ex-Marine, because you don't lose that culture. But if I'm looking for something and I don't know what I want to do, maybe the Coast Guard has something for you, because they have a lot. They have a Department of Defense portion of it. They have the other parts that they do with all the other aspects. But get out. You already have 3 or 4 years military experience. You qualify for educational benefits that now you can do what you want to do. You're 21, 22 years of age. You have 4 years. You now have a bank that you can draw on to do and you know what you want to do a whole lot more than you did before. And probably most importantly, you've had a chance to travel somewhere else in the world.
Right.
Navy, I got to 61 countries in the world, and I've had a chance to really and truly see other cultures and experience that interaction of how they react in their own culture, but to us. Sometimes I can just very quickly. I brought in a Korean-speaking enlisted to an exercise in Korea, thinking that I could use them as a translator. Well, the culture in Korea, for whatever reason, did not allow the Korean officers to really communicate well with my Navy enlisted, and to just like as a block, as a wall. So the next time I had an exercise over there, I went to Monterey and I got not the same, but I got another batch of interpreters to be part of the exercise. And I told them, do not bring a uniform. You're civilian consultants. I don't want to see anything other than civilian clothes. So they would show up. They did their job. The officers talked to them. Everything worked well. And it's interesting that if you understand the culture a little bit, you can tweak things and make it better. But being outside the United States, I think is a marvelous opportunity to mature and learn how to make your life a better life.
Agree. Could not
Amazing.
agree more.
Thank you, Red. And I love whenever you share a number, it's some huge number, the number of years you're married, the number of years it's crazy. So thank you for that. I do want to say before we close out this particular segment, we're all in the United States. We're all highly aware of what's going on in California. I have family members there, and it seems like the level of devastation is just something we can't even imagine. I read an article earlier today that 3 family members, not my family member, but 3 people in a family, they each lost their home in different parts of California, which is incredible. I also want to just give a quick shout out to my cousin, Robert KERBECK, who is in Malibu. And he actually was featured on the front page of the Wall Street Journal 2 days ago for an essay that he wrote. He wrote a book called Malibu Burning. And that was back, I think, in 2018 for the Woolsey fires. And they survived that. I think all but his house and another were completely burnt to the ground, and they're survived. And now they just are going through the similar thing. So our heart goes out to everybody out there. Anything that you two want to say about that?
I'll just say that I'm incredibly heartbroken to hear of the devastation, and prayers are going out for everyone affected. I've traveled to California a lot for YouTube and other events, and just the people that I've talked to are all safe and well, but I know a lot of people are suffering. And I think that's why when we do have an opportunity to make the world a little bit better, I think that is our responsibility with our platform. So again, we'll definitely keep everyone in our thoughts and prayers.
The biggest thing about a tragedy like this is it's right in front of us. It's here today. It's going to be here tomorrow, next week, next year. It takes a long time, just like when a forest burns down and you have a replacement forest 20, 30, 40 years later. It's going to be better than it was, because that's just the way our society is. We do have a tendency to take something that is very distracting in life, very destructive in life, very heart-wrenching, and over time we rebuild mentally, physically, emotionally, and we get back on with our lives. But again, you lose property. Okay, most of us can kind of deal with that. It's still a tear-jerking situation, but you lose a life, and that's just so heart-wrenching. It's hard to deal with it. You know, if somebody who had been sick for the last 10 years and all of a sudden, you know, didn't wake up, okay, we understand. But when somebody is 19 years of age and they're killed in a car wreck, why so young? I mean, just they're taken away so quickly. And especially a thing like this fire, there's people there that we just don't understand why. And that's one of those questions that we just never, ever get an answer to. So, but yes, it's a extreme tragedy, and just leave it at that.
One of our team members, Keith Saltoyanis, he let me know that he was evacuated yesterday. So our thoughts and prayers are with you, Keith, and your family as well. All right, we are going to move along. Maggie, you are welcome to stay if you would like. You're more than welcome. Our next guest is a little late, but we have a video from another guest who wasn't able to make it. Her name is TRACY CRAM PERKINS. And she actually came to us through someone else. And now she has her own show called Dementia Home Care. And Tracy's written a book called Dementia Home Care Before, During, and After. And my mother had dementia. She died 2023 now. And Tracy was extremely helpful in helping me understand what was going on, because I had a hard time dealing with it. I was really angry at my mom a lot because I thought, this can't be true. Like, she knows that there's not an ocean outside. I mean, I'm like, do you see it? And so I would kind of get upset, and I wanted to just make her better, but it was an exhausting period being a full-time caregiver. And that's how I ended up actually developing this platform, because I was in the house all the time taking care of my mom, and I'd retired from corporate. And so anyway, back to Tracy. Tracy's in the Washington State area, and she actually is sometimes touring various Ace Hardware stores, where she has found an incredible ability to talk about her book. And then in the book, there's some tools that people can use to help their loved ones. And you can find these things in the Ace Hardware store. So it's a perfect match. And I think as of today, she's sold over, I think this is the number, over 17,000 copies of her book, which is in a short time as well. So she's actually sent in a video, and we're going to take a look at it. And then if anybody has any questions or comments, I do want to share this also. Anybody who's watching, Maggie, the substitute teacher, please make sure that you send stars to help make content. So you can do that on Facebook. Is that correct?
It is. You can like, share, subscribe. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And so I just want to say thank you, Dr. JACALYN. I am going to leave. I've got to go pick up one son. Mom's got a mom, but this has been an incredible opportunity. And yes, you all can find me Mondays and Fridays will be cooking streams. Wednesday and Saturdays will be femininity streams. And I'm Maggie, the substitute teacher.
Thank you so much, Maggie. Bye for now. Great seeing you. All right, Red, let's take a look at this clip that Tracy put together for dementia home care.
Fantastic.
Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. My name is TRACY CRAM PERKINS, and I am the host of the Dementia Home Care Show and the author of the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. And I would like to share with you 2 tips for self-care that I consider instant gratification self-care. And so the first one, when you have a loved one that is melting down and you are having a very difficult time because they're angry or they're lashing out, you need to take a step back and breathe. And a lot of times that will help both of you. And you might even have to walk out of the room. But the most effective way to get yourself back to calm before you deal with whatever the outbreak is to do something that's called box breathing. And so I would like to walk you through one round of box breathing so you can kind of get an idea of how this works. And also, this is something that if you do this and set a timer on your phone and you do it 5 times a day, studies have shown that within 6 months, it will lower your blood pressure without medication. If you do that, talk to your doctor because you do not want to pass out because of low blood pressure. All right, let's give this a try. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to breathe in slowly for 4 seconds. So breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4. You are now going to hold your breath for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you're going to breathe out slowly through your mouth for 4 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're going to hold your breath one more time for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're going to do this together. Breathe in through your nose. Hold your breath. Breathe out. Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold your breath. Breathe out. Thank you very much for joining me for doing that. Again, as I mentioned, if you do this for 5 minutes, it will help lower your blood pressure. Now, the beautiful thing about dementia is if your loved one is starting to calm down with you, you can do this together, or you could do this by yourself as a meditation self-care. Now, another thing that I love to talk about, and you've probably never seen me do this before, is laughter yoga. Laughter yoga is one of my favorite techniques for loosening muscles, for relaxing. I'm going to take you through 3 different exercises. Actually, let's make that 2 different exercises. Uh, I want to show you, first of all, a warm-up, which is called the laughter sneeze. And so what we're going to do first is we are going to act like we're sneezing. We're going to go, our hands are going to be up here, and we're just going to start laughing. So do this with me. Are you ready? Let's do this again. One more time. All right. Thank you very much for joining me for that. The next one we are going to do will be also a little different. I want to take you through what I call the Visa Bill maneuver, yoga pose, whatever you would like to call it, because right now it's after the holidays and we probably have some bills coming in that we might not be prepared to pay for, but it's a little easier if you can laugh about it. So let's walk through the Visa pose, all right? You're going to put your hands together like a prayer. And then you are slowly going to open it, and we're going to be laughing as we look at this, all right? You look at this, and then what I want you to do is I want you to point it at the screen back at me, point at the bottom line, and we're going to laugh. So this is how this works. So those are 2 poses that you can do. If you go to YouTube and you type in laughter yoga, you can find your favorite people to follow, or you can find the originator of laughter yoga who puts over 200 poses and laughter practices on his website that you can create your own exercises. So I hope this helps you with your year this year, getting a little bit of extra help for self-care. I want to thank all of you for joining me. Have a very lovely time this year, and I'll see you on my next show, which will be on January. Uh-oh, I apologize. I've forgotten. It's the 3rd Tuesday of the month. So we'll see you then. Have a great time, everybody.
Were you laughing, Red? You're on mute.
Thank you. Actually, I was. I've used that quite a bit in various presentations that I've done. I usually start out with just the smile, which is enough to force your muscles in your face back into your brain, so you don't have as much intensity on a negative side. In fact, you can't have 2 different thoughts in your brain at the same time, negative and positive. So if you just a smile, just a facial goes that way. It's just same way when you're thinking of something that's dreadful, your face gets long and drawn. Well, what you're doing is you're reversing it. But if you take something and you just that kind of thing just does wonders as far as getting rid of stress and helping things. So yes, I did laugh.
I laughed too. I actually recorded that for Tracy. I was thinking, why is there our intro in the beginning? And I forgot I recorded it for her. But yeah, I was laughing when she was doing it. I did it with her. So we're sorry that
thing I have never seen before. I
yeah,
like that.
reading a book and then you get to the end. Tracy wasn't able to make it today, but we're so glad that she could send in the video. And again, I can't say enough about her book. In fact, we did have it pulled up, but let me pull it up again quickly right now. Dementia Home Care Before, During, and After. And then we'll just scroll down so we can actually take a look at everything else on Tracy's website. So here we are. The website is Tracy CRAM Perkins, which is TRACYCRAMPERKINS.com for our audio only audience. And you can find out more about Tracy. She actually is a 4-time caregiver for dementia patients, family members that she took care of. I mean, I took care of my mom. That was one person. She took care of 4 people. So you can imagine what that must be like. So she's done an extensive number of interviews. She's been featured on network news. She's won all kinds of awards for her book. So please do go to her website. You can also go to Amazon to purchase her book, but it is Dementia Home Care, How to Prepare Before, During, and After. And what I really like about the book, I have a copy, my sister has a copy. The book, it's large in size, the print is large, and then in the corner, there is a box, I would say, that has all kinds of information in it, takeaways from the chapter. And at the end of the book, there is a ton of information, resources, people you can call. And I just think for anyone who is caring for someone who has dementia or wants to know more, this is the book to get. Dementia Home Care Before, During, and After by Tracy CRAM Perkins. Thank you so much. And we do have a question from Next Level. Did I miss Miss Maggie? Yes, you did miss Miss Maggie, but you'll be able to see it on the replay. And Maggie's also going to be doing some editing so she can put it onto her channels as well. So you'll be able to see it on Maggie, the Substitute Teacher, as well as USA Global TV and Radio. Okay, so Red, our next guest is backstage, but their devices are not connected. So hopefully she'll be able to get that figured out by turning on her camera and her audio, going to the settings at the bottom. So our guest's name is Brooke, and she has a TV show called Brunch with Brooke. And she also is a journalist. She's a TV presenter. She's a TV host, and she is a voiceover artist. She has her own TV show that's coming here, which is Brunch with Brooke. And I have a separate idea for her I want to run by. So you'll be seeing her TV shows here very soon. We met with, I actually met her in person in London. She was referred to us by Ian Pelham Turner and Helen Ashard. And it was great to be able to connect in person. And now she's on our team. So Brooke, we love you. We just want you to turn your camera on. Don't be afraid. It's just go to settings and turn on the camera. Okay. While we wait for that, we have another comment from someone. We were showing comments during the show, by the way. So Mark Turner, I eliminated everything white from my diet and my weight melted right away. No pasta, rice, bread, dairy, or sugar. All right. Thank you for sharing that. Red, I'm sure you can appreciate that as a longevity expert. Would you like to say anything to Mark?
The only thing that I have a problem with when you get rid of everything that's carbohydrate, I was on Atkins for about 6 years. I lost about 8 inches in my waist. I lost 40, 45 pounds, kept it off. The only problem there is that when you start overdoing on proteins and fats and you don't have an equal amount of greens, you end up with a situation where your body's blood pH now is in control. Your pH of your blood usually is between 7.4 plus or minus 0.05. So what it does, it did to me, is that it starts leaching calcium out of your bones in order to maintain a pH. So it's hard to get calcium into the bones. It's 3 or 4 different chemicals that are absolutely required to get the calcium from your food into your bones, but it has nothing to do with keeping it there. That's a totally different animal. And so when you change over a diet to a keto or something like that, it's very difficult to keep your body in an alkaline condition, something over 7.4. And that's easy to measure, just a matter of buying some, either sometimes you get them at the pharmacy, but order them online, pH paper. You just touch it to your tongue and it changes color. You match up the color with whatever's there, and you know where you're at as far as pH of your body. Saliva is the one that I use. So, but when you are constantly on a diet that's protein and fat and you're not getting enough fruits and vegetables, that would be the only concern I would say you need to be aware of, because if you have more fruits and vegetables, more greens, more sulfur-laden greens, cruciferous vegetables, more sulfur-laden vegetables, those are the things that get your body into that alkaline condition. Otherwise, 10, 20, 30 years from now, you have a habit established, you're eating nothing white, which is great. I think that's wonderful. It's one way of going, but you're also putting your body into ketosis. You're losing weight. Everything looks fine. You may not have the endurance. I mean, I could run hour and a half, 2 hours without a problem prior to Atkins. I could barely get 2 miles and I was out of air because I didn't have any glycogen in my muscles, just nothing there. So endurance, if that's an issue with you, that's something to be aware of. But the main thing is you really need to measure your body's alkalinity or pH. And because if you're constantly down in the sixes, low sixes, that you may be doing damage to your body, not today, not next week, but down toward your retirement years, that you don't want to have brittle bone and have issues with falling and things. So that'd be the only caution I would have. But I think it's a good program to be on if you're cautious about the other things you're eating without the white in your diet. You're muted, Doctor.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Red, and thank you, Mark, for the question. We are excited to welcome Brooke into the studio. As I mentioned, I don't know if Brooke, if you heard the introduction, but Brooke and I met in London. We were introduced by Ian Palm-Turner and Helena Shard. And Brooke has an extensive amount of experience on television and on radio and as a journalist and as a voiceover artist. So let's welcome Brooke, the founder of BROOKE TV, Brunch with Brooke. Hello, welcome.
Oh, hey guys, how are you doing?
Good, it's great to see you.
Brilliant to see you guys.
Are you joining us from London today?
Sorry, say that again.
Are you joining us from London?
That's right. So over here it's just gone 6:04. Yeah, so 4 minutes past 6. But so it's evening here. It's bitter cold, but we're keeping warm.
Fantastic. Well, it's nice to have you here with us today. I would love for you to take about 15 minutes and talk to our audience. We can see behind you Brunch with Brooke, which is coming to USA Global TV and Radio. So tell us a little bit about your background as a journalist, and then go into how you created Brunch with Brooke and your radio show, just anything you want our audience to know about you.
All right, sure. So hello, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to join you guys here today. So I am Brooke, and I am host of the Brunch with Brooke show. So a little bit about me. So I am a journalist, a showbiz and entertainment journalist, and I'm also a broadcaster. So a radio presenter and a TV presenter. So yes, I'm sort of like I'm also the host of the Brunch with Brooke show. So I'll just explain a little bit about that. So it's called Brunch with Brooke for a reason, because I sit down and have candid conversations with established and up and coming artists that you need to know and basically lifestyle. So I cover all of those different departments. Yeah, so you will get from my show, the Brunch with Brooke show, the hottest entertainment news, candid conversations with your favorite stars, and sit downs with the next and coming artists that you guys need to know about. So yeah, it's just a close up and a dose of weekly inspiration. Call it your weekly showbiz fix. So that's, if you want that, then you're in the right place for that. So I'll tell you a bit more about it as well. So obviously, like I said, I'm a British showbiz journalist and broadcaster. I work across TV shows. So I've written for national newspapers and magazines. Over here, we've got the Daily Mirror, which is the showbiz section. We've also got the Sun newspaper. And then I've worked with the big boys over here it's Times Radio. So I've worked with some amazing people, and I'm able to draw from my expertise and experience, and I've gone ahead and created the Brunch with Brooke show. So it's just, yeah, just to sit down, catch up with your favorite stars, everyone that you need to know. And it's also up and coming stars as well. So yeah, I cover it all. So the show is pretty much just, yeah, your daily fix of showbiz, entertainment, art and music news, from juicy behind the scenes stories to live performances as well. Thought-provoking discussions that is trending and everyone's talking about, to games and exclusive sizzling interviews with your favourite celebs and artists. So and live studio performances. I cover it all. So yeah, so when it comes to exclusives, I'm your girl. Yeah, I just ask the big questions that everybody wants to know. Yeah, and it's really about people's stories. So I love to hear people's stories and find out about the people behind the stories, you know, and really just sit down and speak to them, really. So we just have a laugh. And it's not called Brunch with Brooke for a reason. We really do eat on the show if they're live with me, or yeah, we just have loads of fun. Yeah, and just the hottest topics. So yeah, that's a bit about
How
me.
exciting. Thank you so much, Brooke, for sharing that. The first question that comes to mind for me is, you really have to do a lot of research, especially when you're talking about current events, and that takes a lot of time. Do you have a certain schedule that you put aside just for research?
Yeah, right. It depends what I'm covering. So if I'm on, you know, if I wanted, so if you imagine I'm covering music, entertainment, lifestyle. So if I want to cover, you know, a really one of your favorite music artists, you know, I will basically, you need to be, it's not just all fun and giggles and laughs. You really do have to do your research, because you find out who the person is, what they're about, because the most people is their audience and their following, and they really want to know, you know, serious questions, you know, the main, you know, questions that we don't normally ask. So you really have to, yeah, just respect this person and just show that you really do understand their industry, what they do, and that takes research. So you are collating information, an interview, and collating it from start to finish. It can take, you know, 2 days. You know, you might spend a couple of hours researching who they are if you don't know them already. Make sure that you know their background and their accolades. Yeah, just a back catalogue of, you know, all the achievements, and then really get into the meaty questions and find out what makes them tick, what are their inspirations, their motivations. But it's not just surface stuff as well. They're real people with real stories. So you really have to do your research, go and find out the information, secure the interviews in the first place before you come ahead and sit down with them. And then when you are sitting down with them, you've really got to give them the floor, because now your audience, their following is locked in, and include them as well. So if they have really important questions that they're dying to ask them, make sure there's audience interaction as well, and get those questions across for that audience. Yeah.
Outstanding. Thank you. Red, any question or comment you have for Brooke and the work she's doing?
I think the last comment that she just made is super critical. I know Dr. JACALYN and I, we usually are backstage with whoever the next person is there. And one of the questions that we always ask is, what do you want to make sure we cover today? What is really important that we do? So I write it down, and depending on how I've kind of structured my question thought process, I may just pop right out with the very, very beginning, say, you know, something's really important to you, Brooke, is this. Let's just go ahead and tackle that right now. And so that way you have a chance, and we're not left at the end of the show with 1 minute left, and they really have 2 or 3 minutes worth of conversation they want to have about it. So depending on what the nature is, and you can usually tell when they're telling us the passion they have about what they want to say. And if it's something pretty important, then I kind of move that to the beginning of the interview, because it really does have, that's why they're there. They want to be able to make sure their audience gets that information. So I think that's
Yeah.
super critical, Brooke. I really do.
Yeah, and you know what, you touched on an important point, because people, especially with, you know, the digital platform and our ever-changing digital platform, you know, we have these amazing platforms, and people have come from underground. We have YouTube, we have TikTok, you know, so people are really, everybody has access to become the next presenter, or, you know, to work and become the next journalist. But one key thing I would give to people, if there's one advice I would give to people when it comes to interviewing, it's this: it is not about you. You know, if you get an artist and, you know, your favorite star, your favorite actress, or you know, your favorite singer, whoever it is, your favorite boxer, when they get into that chair as a presenter, as a journalist, it's really key to remember it's all about that person. So your only job
I think Brooke is frozen at the moment. Hopefully she'll unfreeze. Take her off screen until she does. So what's so fascinating for me is when I met Brooke, Brooke has been on radio for, Brooke's back. Okay. Brooke, you were frozen for a little while.
oh, right, sorry.
Yeah. So you got cut off at the end, but you've been on radio and obviously on television. Would you say there's a different skill set for each of those mediums? And also as a journalist, do you have to wear different hats in order to be effective in each of those roles?
Sure, it's good. You know, that's a really good question. I think what makes a good host, you can call them a journalist or a presenter. They do the same job. They are a mediator. Obviously, as a journalist, we expect real more research, digging deep, get into the questions, not letting, you know, if you're doing a really serious story and say something, you know, political, or something that everyone's talking about, like our government, our education, something that's really at the heart, or our social services, or, you know, our education, you know, our curriculum, things that really matter to people. We're not there to gloss it over. And if somebody is not answering the question, maybe you redirect it in a different way. So we really get crucial answers to questions that people are after. So that's for being a journalist. If you're a presenter, it's really this thing about wearing different hats, it's really about you as a person. Do you, like, you've got to be interpersonal. I love meeting people. I love hearing people's stories, and you've got to be open. You've got to make people feel comfortable. You know, once they're comfortable, they're going to really talk to you. You know, they're going to open up more than you even expect. You know, when you really hear things that they otherwise wouldn't have said to anybody else, any other host, any other journalist. You know, so it's really about making people feel comfortable. I think I'm told to have a knack with people and just allowing them to be, you know, and comfortable. The reason I actually transitioned, as I said, my background, I actually started off in print. So I was a showbiz and lifestyle journalist. So I would write for publications because I love words and I love wordplay and yeah, just speaking to people. But very quickly, they noticed I was really good at speaking to the celebrities or anyone that came in. So I quickly became the go-to girl for celebrity interviews. They would just pass me the phone and say, here, it's this person, we'll know you, they'll speak to you. So, and they would just hand me the phone and I would just make them feel comfortable. Before you know it, we're laughing, and they really tell you things that they otherwise wouldn't have said. So it follows me. Followed me, and they told me I was on the wrong side of journalism. I should be on broadcast, which is how I transitioned into radio as a radio presenter. And I spent about 4, 5, 6 years in radio as a radio presenter. So I had my own drive time show. It was called The Brunch with Brooke Show, and we got to meet loads of people from and again, that same natural knack with people and getting them to open up then led me into TV, where I was given my own entertainment show, which was named the Brunch with Brooke Show again. So I met actors, actresses, and we covered red carpets for Cannes Film Festival. I covered music festivals, but it comes down to the same thing. You really have to be relatable. Do your research, because you want to show them respect, that you know who they are, their name, get their names right, and just be yourself, allow them to feel comfortable. Everything else, they'll open up to you.
I love that. Thank you so much. And I just have to say, just being totally transparent, even though we've met in person, we've talked on the phone, I've always been confused. Is your name Brooke? Because there's an E at the end. There's a Brooke E. And I think I've heard Ian refer to you. So before the show, I texted you on WhatsApp and I said, can you tell me how to say your name properly?
No problem. It's just Brooke. So Brooke is in BROOKE. So Brooke, and and I'll give you afterwards. I'll give you my details and where to get your weekly fix of entertainment, and follow me with all my shenanigans and what I'm up to. So it's just Brooke. On Instagram, it's Brooke TV _ Brooke TV. Yeah.
We have your details that we'll pull up. I have a question for you, and I'd love to have Red answer after you answer, which is here on this platform, my philosophy, which has translated into our team's, mission basically, is that we don't use scripts, and we don't use scripts so we can pay attention. I know there are one or two people out there on our team who are still using scripts and they think I don't know, but I do. But anyway, part of the reason why I mention that is because I really feel that when you're doing an interview, it's about the other person. And you had mentioned that. And if you're focused on a list of questions, it's sometimes, even like when I was in corporate and you've got 65 PowerPoint slides, you'd be like, we're only on 30, we've got 15 minutes left. No, it doesn't matter. It matters about what the client needs, what they want. So where I'm going with this is I don't ask questions because I'm newsy or nosy, and that's what I want. I want to ask the questions that are going to get the client, the guest, to open up. So even though I might want to know if XYZ did PDQ, I'm not going to ask that. I'm never going to ask a question where I don't know the answer because I don't know where it's going to go. So I focus on what would the client, what would the guest want to focus on today? And to Red's point, that's why we asked those questions in the beginning. Red, go ahead.
Absolutely.
One of the first things that me being a host on one of her shows, we're talking backstage and she would say, don't forget, make the guest the star of the show. And that has stayed with me forever. And everything that Brooke is saying, what Dr. JACALYN is saying right now, goes down to that same thing. You have a guest, that guest is the star of your show, not you, but the guest. And so long as you keep that in mind, there are things that we throw in there because we want to know a little bit, or we want to take the conversation a different way. But the whole purpose is make the guest the star of the show.
Absolutely.
And forever.
Absolutely. I totally agree. It comes back to that, and I think people underestimate that as well. They think, I just need to get the goss. Who's dating who? Did they really commit that crime when they were 15? Did they only eat cheese, and water during the week? But, you get different types of artists, of actresses or filmmakers, or whoever the person is. You've got to remember that they're human. Some people are actually quite shy, and and if you're going through PR alone and you just want to speak to them, some of them won't speak to you at all, because a lot of the time they say crystal clear, I do not want to talk about this subject, and then you go ahead and talk about it and say it's a messy divorce and something that involves their children. You're crossing the boundary and they won't talk to you again. And sometimes if you're really good, they remember you not for your questions, but for you seeing them and making them heard and making them feel comfortable. And that way they'll only ask for you the next time. Sit down, let them lead the conversation. You might find out a lot more than you bargained for.
I love the way you summed that up. That's terrific. I know I've been asked to speak on different shows, and I typically do not get interviewed because It's not about me. So anyway, the few that I've done, I've been very surprised because I received 2 or 3 pages of questions that I needed to answer in advance. And in each case, I reached out to the host and I said, what do you plan on doing with this information? And do you think we can really cover all of this in 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, I just need to have something that I can. And so I've actually trained them that if you ask one powerful question and you listen to what I have to say and you're interested, there's a natural progression of where the conversation could go. But you're asking for, this much information that's never going to be covered. Probably no one's interested in it. And I'm not interested in going back to when I was in high school or when I was 5 years old. If I have a story I want to relate it to, I'll bring that up. So what are your thoughts about that, Red?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I truly believe there's actually a formula for a really good show. There really is. So I discovered while I was on radio, I was there a short time, but because you have these skills and you make people feel comfortable and you really get people as people, I quickly had a drive time show. So basically it was the Brunch with Brooke show. It was the drive time show on a Saturday night. So for 2 hours, I just brought your weekend to life. I was like the pre-drinks to your Saturday night. It was just me and you, and we're having the best time. So I interviewed a lot of people, and one of the things that that's really good is that to make people feel comfortable as well. Before you get into their skeletons in their closet and all the rest of it, you don't really need to. Just sit down. Make them feel comfortable, say hello, how was their day, what did they do for shopping? And one of the things is, I would always do an icebreaker as well. So it would be called things like this or that. So, tell me what you would rather have, house in Malibu or, a penthouse, that they might like. So it really opens up a connection, and then they're comfortable, and then they're really talking to you on a genuine level.
Red, thank you so much, Brooke. Red, what are your thoughts on that?
A couple, actually. As I'm listening to a response in our conversation, sometimes a phrase or even just a word clicks, and in the process I'll write it down or do my best to remember it, because in the context they were using, let's say that phrase, it opens up an entire new conversation, or it adds clarity to what we're really trying to do. And so as I'm listening, what can I glean out of here that I think is really important? And sometimes they have so many, what the last thing that Brooke talked about, I think is super critical. Let's go down this road. And I think you're amplifying, making the star better, because now you're going deeper into a topic that they like. But one of the things that I've done in networking events in person, on the shows here, one of the questions that literally nobody ever gets asked is, Dr. JACALYN, what do you do for fun? So many people cannot answer that question because they have never really thought about the answer. And they don't know what they do for fun. I work. No, I said, what do you do for fun? And after a couple, they think, what do you read? We don't really take time in our lives to have fun. And sometimes a question like that opens the door to something. Remember we had 2 people on our show, Dr. JACALYN. One that was a lawyer, just got back from South Africa on a 7-week tour over there, and he was into Argentinian ballroom dancing. And 2 weeks later, we have a program manager here in the Houston area who just opened his own Argentinian ballroom dancing studio. So it had nothing to do with our conversations, but when we talked about what do you do for fun, those are things that now you start to get into the passion of the person. And when you get into that, now, the smiles, the facial line, all of that stuff starts to evolve, because now you're into an area that they really and truly enjoy, but they don't always share with anyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very true. And by the way, when you said that, Red, I was thinking, what do you do for fun? I'm doing it right now. So I guess I need a different answer on that one. But something I wanted to mention in alignment with what we're talking about today is, let's say Red has this show, The Corner Bookstore, and he interviews authors. So let's say that the author is there specifically to promote the book, but yet there's some detail about the person's life that you happen to uncover. And so on the show, you happen to mention, well, yeah, you've got a new book and I heard you got divorced. They might instantly clam up like, I'm not here to talk about the divorce, right? So the reason I'm bringing it up is because when we focus on the guests and what they want to talk about, it could be a much better experience than if you embarrass them or put them under the microscope, because they're probably dealing with that all day long and they just want to focus on something. This book brings me so much joy.
Yeah, like you, they just want to talk about, you know, do you curl up under the covers eating milk and cookies, or, you know, in the evening, in springtime, do you have a secret hobby that you're afraid to tell everyone? Do you go bird watching? Do you do this? Do you do the other? And actually, that's the funny thing. And we're really right on that term. Like, once people feel comfortable, they really just open up, and it takes you through, stories that you've never even heard of. They'll actually offer up stories that you wouldn't have got anywhere else, you know, maybe a childhood story, what was their, you know, what they wanted to be when they were a kid, or, you know, are they afraid of the dark, or whatever it is, or their aspirations. And actually asking these questions might lead to things that you might have covered, or things that you're not, that, you know, that you otherwise wouldn't have found out. So maybe asking, you know, did you enjoy camping? You know, did you ever do Duke of Edinburgh? Over here, Duke of Edinburgh is basically when you learn to read a map and use a compass, and they put you out in the field and you have to find your way back to base. It's these really human stories that, you know, that people do open up to you when you let them lead, you know, so you find out a lot more usually that you bargain for. So also, my platform isn't just for everyone that's established as well. Yeah, it's not just for everyone that's established as well. It's also for people that should be on your radar, people that are up and coming across the music industry, the film industry, you know, theatre and entertainment. And I sit down with these, you know, talented folk, and you really get to meet them, and you get to meet who that's going to be on your radar pretty soon, you know. So it's just all a good time. It really is brunch with Brooke. We just have a natter, we're having nibbles, and yeah, we find out great stories for their audiences.
Brooke, I love all the passion and energy that's coming through. My question for you is, and you mentioned this early on about being relatable. So when you first meet someone and you're interested in interviewing them, whether they come to you or you found them or some other publicist or something, what is it that you do to make yourself relatable?
Right. Okay. So funny enough, actually, a lot of people come to me from after seeing my shows, and from my shows, you really do get the sense that I don't just say this. It's coming out my pores. So we're having laughs, we're having jokes, we're really laughing about different things before we've even started going into what their inspiration is, what makes them tick, how did they get to where they are, and where they're going forward, you know? So I usually start with things. Yeah, I start with things like an icebreaker. So I used to do a Instagram live, a couple of years ago alongside my radio show. So I had the radio show and a Saturday night. But in between that, once people saw that and they saw that I'm literally just a bag of fun, so they would reach out to me. So I had people right across the globe, so up and coming artists from America to Europe to Britain, and they would reach out and say, could you please interview me? We want to get down in your show, and I'm doing this. Would you interview me? So a lot of the time I don't really even have to go out and nab them. They come to me because they know they're going to have a good time, you know. But yeah, there you go. And and outside of that, you know, I've got I've got a lovely agent that I've started working with. So she lines me up as well for, you know, there's a calendar when it comes to entertainment. So in terms of the music industry, I might go to listening parties, I might go to festivals to cover your favorite artists. If it's film and, you know, Cannes Film Festivals coming up, you know, I might have an upcoming actress or actor that you're really interested in, or I might just head down to a red carpet screening for a movie and tell you about that movie and why you need to get down there and watch it. So yeah.
Thank you so much. I want to share your Instagram platform so that people can take a look. This is the Brunch with Brooke show, and people can find out more about you here. And also you have another Instagram, which is _Brooke TV. And if you could just talk a little bit here, we see Times Radio, The Sun, Daily Mirror. Can you talk a little bit about any work you've done?
Oh, right. So, I'm quite humble, but I have been, I've been really honoured. You know, once I got my degree, I've been a journalist for about 15 years. I've been a journalist. So as you can see, so over here, our national papers are, I started off my first paper that I wrote for, even while at uni, I started off working at Pride magazine, which is a luxury lifestyle magazine. So it's an entertainment luxury lifestyle magazine. And then I moved up to what you call the big boys. So in terms of national publications, I've written for the Daily Mail. I've written for the Daily Mirror. So the Daily Mirror, for their showbiz desk. So we cover everything entertainment and showbiz, from your favorite celebs to, you know, the newest films that are coming out and what Netflix documentaries you should be watching. So I did work with that team and we covered showbiz news. So we will bring to you just exclusive showbiz news. And we just gave you your daily fix of the hottest and the most exclusive showbiz news. I then moved over to the Sun, and worked again at the showbiz desk and the TV desk at the Sun newspaper. That's based in central London, and it's a broadcasting house. It's under News UK. In that building, you've got magazines, publications, and also the broadcast of journalism, which is radio. So I was able to work at Times Radio too. So I work with every celebrity you can think of. So, you know, I would help as well. Behind the scenes as well. So put together shows. We've had Whoopi Goldberg, Keanu Reeves, you name it, we've had them, and it's been a blast, you know. And so I've also been a newsreader, a lot of things that people don't know as well. So I've been a radio newsreader and be able to use my chatty voice to bring you guys news, showbiz news, entertainment, and breaking stories. And obviously also the radio show for a bit more fun and sit down conversations.
You have a great voice. I absolutely love it.
Oh, thank you. Well, do you know what? It's funny you say that, because I was so content writing on publications and magazines and newspapers, just being the quiet, creative girl that does a bit of wordplay and, you know, writes, you know, just the creative genius behind the scenes. And they kept on saying, we think you're on the wrong side of journalism. And they was like, you should be on the broadcast side. This was in 2016. And that's what I basically got bullied. But different people that didn't know each other said the same thing. So it got to 2016. I finally listened and I was given my own radio show, and it went from there.
Fantastic. Red, I'm going to go to you in just a second. A comment that I have is, I feel like in this business, it's always good to have a mentor or two or a coach. And I know I started on the radio, and then I also had an in-person TV show. which was called Rapping with Dr. JACALYN, The Drive, Live at 5. Anyway, I had a mentor who said, you know, as good as you are in front of the camera, you'd be even better behind the camera. You'd be a great executive producer. And during this journey, I kept hearing his voice in the back of my head. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to go behind the camera. Even though I love being, you know, in front of it, I really want to build this platform out. So you've been on the radio, you are on television, and you've been behind the scenes as well. What is your favorite place to be?
Right. So working at Times Radio, I was actually still had my radio show, the Brunch with Brooke show. And then I got a job as a assistant producer. So that was my first time, not in front of the mic, but behind the mic and behind the scenes. And I learned a great deal, you know. I loved it. I loved it. You really get a holistic view of how shows are put together. So I worked alongside great, fantastic, assistant producers. I had a great team, and you really get to see how everything interlinks. So I worked as an assistant producer. I worked as a video broadcaster as well. So those are the people that deals with your images. They're the ones that, when there's a game show or Oprah Winfrey or whoever it is, and it's really interesting and they get into the good stuff, and the camera.
We're hanging on for the last word.
Now, being in London, bandwidth, whoever knows, it's one of those kind of strange things in life. But
absolutely,
right here in my house, sometimes I end up freezing, and I got everything off, but heaven only knows.
It is definitely a mystery that we'll never be able to figure out. I don't think so. Brooke is still frozen. So while we wait for her to come back, what are your thoughts on what she shared? I mean, she's been on radio, television, journalist, etc. She's got an extensive background. What might be a question that you would ask her if you were interviewing her, Red?
I think one of the ones that I would go down is, you started here, you're here, the transitions. What were the really important lessons learned when you transitioned from writing to being on radio, to being in front of the camera, to being whatever position you have? And how did you adapt in that process of learning something new, being something new to an audience? Because I can speak in front of an audience. That's different than being the same presentation on Zoom. It's different than interviewing somebody on a show like USA Global TV and Radio Network. So the things that you learn to become better is something you can share with other people. And that's part of that value that we talk about often here on our network, is the fact that we're here to provide entertainment, to provide awareness, knowledge, experience, but mostly value from the wisdom that we've acquired over time.
I love that. Absolutely. We have Brooke back with us. Let's bring her back on. Okay.
Apologies, guys. Yeah.
That's okay.
Sorry. Apologies.
That's okay.
Yeah,
so
I think
one thing I'd like to go to now, which I think would be a fun topic, is bloopers. So anytime, anything you can share, let's start with Red, any bloopers that you can share when you were broadcasting that maybe something didn't go right, or you didn't say something right, or you forgot something, or the guest wasn't, whatever you can think of, Red.
Well, happened just this week. I was interviewing, and all of a sudden, at the very end, I'd gone down, I needed to sneeze, and I knew it was going to be more than one. So I stopped the camera, I put myself on mute, and I had a little sneezing fest. Got through it. I cut myself back. I thought I had clicked both the camera and the mute button so that I would have audio. And now it's the end of the show. I'm wrapping up. I have literally a minute to go before we're off the air. And I'm talking to the guest as if I'm saying, thank you very much. And then I'm wrapping up the show. And literally, it's just this past week. It was on the corner bookstore last Thursday. It's not that long ago. So yes, it happens to all of us. And my time is, my daughter's texting me, you're muted. Dr. JACALYN's putting over here in the notes, you're muted. But my eyes are focused right there.
That's right. And you know what? We've just touched on something. So this is happening. You've just got to get over it. Things happen. When you are live on air, anything can happen. They say don't work with kids or animals. You know, yeah, that's true. But when you're on TV or radio, anything can happen. So we've had this just now, but I remember actually I had, you know, a really big deal American artist. She was a rapper. She was a business. She had just, you know, Forbes just declared, you know, number 30 under 30. She had a book out. She had a brand deal, and now she had a rap album that was just come out, and so she was a big hot deal. So I secured her, and yeah, so I bring her into the radio show. We're on the Brunch with Brooke show. Yeah, so you have to get people comfortable, and you know, I've already drummed up all the noise. I've done the social media, you know, your favorite, she's going to be in the chair with me. So she's in the chair, she's in there, and I do a pre-play of the best bits of her interview. So I do, you know, really jazz her up. I give her all her accolades, and I say, here is this person. And I press the button to do the pre-recording of her juicy interview, and it doesn't play. So I'm like, you really have to think on your feet. Anything can happen. So you really have to just go with the flow. So I decided to, you know, play her newest track. So I played her newest track, and as people were really listening to her newest track, and it's this exclusive song, I was behind the scenes like trying to find this interview, load it up again, and then by the time the song is finished, I hit play and everything goes back to normal. We have a great time. It was the show that got one of the highest ratings, to be honest. So just go with the flow.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's fantastic. And, you know, sometimes the audience doesn't even know. They have no idea. But I made a big mistake. I think it was last week or this week, because even though I'm hosting, I'm still producing.
You know, everybody was just like, oh my God, we love her. You know, I want to go to her next show. So after the interview, it really brought her profile up. Not that she needed it, but it opened her up to a new audience in London. Yeah, people just went on to go and view everything she was doing. And a lot of people were ready to go to her next show.
Absolutely. Yeah, sorry about that. I think we had a little crossover there. So what happened, a blooper that I had happen was, even though I'm hosting now, most of the times I'm not on the screen and I'm producing, and the producing is just a touch of a button to do this, that, or the other. And so last week I was producing a show. It was a guest that had never been here before and a relatively new show host. And when I went to press the button, it got stuck. And I ended up having a different person's name going across the screen, and I couldn't get the button off. And I was like, so what I ended up doing was we just started the show. I just ended the show, and I apologized. And I said, we're going to start all over again. We're starting all over again. Brilliant. And, you know, I was sweating. I was literally like, sweat. But these things happen. What are you going to do?
These things happen.
Yeah, it happened today, actually. When I started the show, I had the show graphic up, and then I went to hit the video, the intro video, and it didn't work. And I had taken down the show, the reunion show. I took it down, and there was nothing but black screen. I'm like, so then I had to start over again.
Yeah, and you really have to just breathe and try again.
It's very true. Very true. Well, we're coming to the end of our segment today, which is amazing how fast time's gone by. So, Brooke, your show Brunch with Brooke is starting this week on our platform. And we also shared your information, but who would be a good guest for you? Are you taking on new guests? And if so, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you? I think she's frozen. Yeah, we'll see if she comes back. And just so people know, everyone has different technology capabilities, bandwidth issues, or different bandwidth sizes. So we can't control what's going on at anyone's home or anyone's office except for our own, right? So I might have a different situation than Red and then Brooke. And so if someone gets frozen, there's nothing you can do. So just go with it. Go with it.
Take a deep breath.
Red,
Take a deep breath and hold it for 30 minutes.
hold it for, yeah, hold it for, Brooke is back. Hold on here. Okay.
Actually, the world record is a little over 24 minutes holding your breath underwater.
That's incredible. I could do it for 2 minutes, maybe. All right, Brooke, you're back with us as we're closing out this segment. Who would be a good guest for you if you're taking new guests? And what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So anybody, so if you are a music artist and you would love a platform, you would love to come down in the, and sit down with me and just really just talk, you want a bigger platform. So anybody that is a music artist, if you're an actor, if you're an actress, whether you're established or up and coming. So yeah, music artists, come on down. Film, if you're in film, you're an actor, you're an actress, you want a bigger platform. If you work in theatre, lifestyle entertainment, new projects that are going on, that, get down and just whack me an email. You can hit me up on my email, which is brunchwithbrooks.tv@gmail.com. So that's brunchwithbrooke.tv@gmail.com. Again, during the week you can follow me on Instagram, so that's _Brooke TV, and just for your weekly dose of entertainment, showbiz news, and all the shenanigans behind the scenes, so you can see what I'm up to. So I would love to have you. Hit me up and yeah, let's get talking, and had some great conversations.
Thank you so much, Brooke. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here today. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. Red, anything you'd like to share with Brooke before Brooke leaves?
Just had a wonderful time. I think she has a great smile. And beyond that, I wish you the absolute best and welcome aboard to the USA Global TV and Radio Network. I look forward to seeing you here, maybe even on one of my shows. So.
Oh, I would absolutely love it. Thank you both. I always have the best time when I come on board and when I, get to speak to you guys. So thank you so much for having me.
Okay. I remember we interviewed Brooke way back when we had Celebrate Great Britain Royally Rich show with Al Cini and Ian Pelham-Turner and Helena Shard. That had to be 3 or 4 years ago. So I've known Brooke for a while, and thank Brooke for coming to us today and also for being part of our team. So Red, we're coming to the end today. These shows usually go for 6 hours, but we have a second part 2, and everybody's moved over to Wednesday. So you and I need to get our beauty rest before then. But I'd love to give you an opportunity. You shared a bit about what you're doing. Would you like to go into any more detail about your work?
2 things I think that I want to just really highlight. Number one, the USA Global TV and Radio Network, Dr. JACALYN publishes a list every 7 days, once a month. And I've been very fortunate to be in the top 10 a few times. And I know back behind the stage that she does for her SEO, for lack of a better word, her marketing, her ability to get her network out to the world. And I believe last year, Dr. JACALYN, you had over 2 million views. That I may be wrong on that one, but it seems like everything's growing. I remember we used to talk about, okay, we got 18 shows, we got 22 shows, we got 40 shows, we got 40. Now we're up to 58 shows or something like that. It's probably even more than that. But anyway, great network. It's something that I enjoy doing, and I'm starting to see my viewership go up. And again, after 20 years, you're an overnight success. Well, it's after about 3 years here on the show, things are starting to click. But I did publish 2 new books this year. One was a religious book, essentially for Catholics, on how to get to heaven bypassing purgatory. And it's on my website, revellaughlin.com. But the other one actually got published today, and it's called Failure is Not an Option. Now, it may be something you recognize back in the NASA days when we were getting ready to go to the moon. Gene Kranz was the voice of NASA, and he wrote a book called Failure is Not an Option, and he talked about what the astronauts and the space program had to do. This is my current website, although it's probably only going to be current for another week or 2. I've been spending the last couple of months working on a major revision to it, and it'll be out very, very shortly. It's not one of the ones that are listed there, but it is a book called Failure is Not an Option. It's available today on Amazon, and it talks about a number of different ways of goal setting and able to take things that, this is the basics, but we can enhance it. And Jose Corvo is a friend, no, Silva. Jose Silva, many years ago, decades ago, put together a program where you can connect to your subconscious mind. Literally, I can probably do it within a minute or two. And that's something we typically don't do. We get in the alpha state. But if you can talk to your subconscious mind, you can actually control a lot more aspects of your life. So I came across this not long ago, and I was in the process of finishing up the book, and I'm talking about the mind. And I added a couple sentences in there. I said, no, I really need to go in and have a full section on that so people can appreciate what we're really talking about. And in that book that I have on, it's called Failure is Not an Option. It's right there. It's brand new today, out today, January 11th. Today says the 12th. I guess it was published last night. But Failure is Not an Option. I have a lot of advanced ways of connecting to your subconscious mind and allowing it to control part of the process by which you achieve your goals. And when you use the Jose Silva method and you start looking at how can I make that work for me today, I think that's of immense value. And maybe one of those topics that I talk about on Talking Heads down the road. But those are the primary things that I wanted to kind of wrap up today's show with. And just to thank Dr. JACALYN personally for her leadership and mentoring. I truly appreciate it. And anybody who is interested in having their own platform here on the USA Global TV and Radio Network, please contact Dr. JACALYN KERBECK and have a conversation with her.
Thanks so much, Red. I appreciate that. And congratulations on your new book, Failure is Not an Option. That's amazing. And I just want to disclose, I just had a blooper because I was searching for your website and searching for Amazon, and I didn't know I was on screen. I thought that I had spotlighted you. And when I looked up, I was like, I'm on screen. So anyway, when you're producing and hosting at the same time, that's what happens. But my apologies. Congratulations again on that. Red, when can people watch you, the shows that you have here on our platform?
I have 3 shows back to back on Thursdays, and I'm going to give you the times in Central Time as I'm in the Houston area. So my first show is at 11 o'clock. It's the Corner Bookstore. I feature authors, publishers, editors, anybody involved in the writing and authoring field. So you have a new author that you know about. You have a marketer, somebody who helps you. You can be a podcast person who really concentrates a lot on the aspects of authors and their books. That would be an ideal person for me, and please contact me. I'll give you that information here in just a moment. I have another program immediately following that one at noon Central. It's called The Wise Ones. And this is where I may even use the same person I had on the Corner Bookstore. I had Glenda Benavides on a week or 2 back, and we talked about her singer-songwriter authoring experiences. But when we got on The Wise Ones, we talked about her career in entrepreneurship. How did she brand herself? How did she make herself the person that made the business thrive? And so we look at maybe the same person, it may even be a similar topic, but we look at the entrepreneurial aspects. What value can they share with the audience? And then I have another program that I do called Talking Heads. I research the human body at the cellular level, and I look for cause and effect relationships from a chemical perspective. And so I pick something and I say, let's talk about cancer. And I would have a 4 or 6 or 8 week program on cancer and really go into the details. However, in the last couple of months of 2024, I started saying, well, what would I do? If I had cancer, what would I do? If I had this, what would? And so it's kind of evolved over the last several weeks of 2024 into 2025. And I talked recently, a week or so back, about bulletproof health. You know, in our teenage 20s, we don't even think about it. We just do anything we want to do. We don't get sick. We survive like nobody's business. But if I'm 50 or 60 or older, is there something I can do to help bulletproof my health? So I looked at that last Thursday. I talked about what would I do to improve my immune system? You know, that's our first line of defense. So I have several topics that I'm looking at, and I present that topic for that particular day only. I don't extend it out into 4 weeks or 6 weeks. And so for the next several, I think I gave Dr. JACALYN a list of about 6 or 8 programs that I'm going to commit myself to here. What would I do in this particular aspect of health and wellness? I can be reached at redolaughlin.com. It's red like the color RED, O'Laughlin, OLAUGHLIN. So it's red@redolaughlin.com or red.olaughlin@gmail.com. Those are the easiest ways to reach me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Red, for all of the education and the experience that you've had, the wisdom, the knowledge that you bring. And thank you for your friendship and for your loyalty over all these years. I really do appreciate you.
Well, thank you so very much, Dr. JACALYN. And I look forward to our next gig here on, I think it's Wednesday. Is that right?
It is Wednesday. It's going to be a long day. That's okay.
It probably will be.
It will be, but it's always fun because we meet interesting people. So thank you again for being here, and I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday.
Fantastic. Take care.
Bye for now. Bye-bye. Well, thank you, everyone. What I'm going to close out with is a little bit of education about how you can be a guest on our shows, how you can be part of our team, how you can watch our shows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to present our website. So our website is usaglobaltv.com. Now you can also get here by drjacalynkerbeck.com or usaglobaltvandradio.com. All roads take you to the same place. Once you come here, you will be welcomed, and then you'll see across the top, you'll see home, shows, join us, book your session, our global team services, education, and more. And again, I'm reading this out for people who are on the audio platform or listening to us and not watching us. So we have a list of our shows. So if you're interested, you can go here and you can find out what shows that we have. You can also see what platforms we stream on. So we stream our shows on social media, and we also stream some of our shows on other platforms. So our shows are streamed to Xizzle TV, Fire, Apple. You can see these. Roku I'm taking off because I just canceled our contract with them because our channel was hijacked twice and I had to pay a lot of money to get it back, and I'm done with it. That's the end. Sorry. So you can see the shows that we have here. You saw Maggie was just here, Maggie the substitute teacher, and you can click the button watch now, and you can do just that. You can also join us, and by joining us, you can subscribe to our channel, obviously. And you can also do one of many things that we offer here. We have the ability for you to host your own show. Let's say you always dreamed of being a TV show host, but you're a little nervous. You don't know if you want to go full in. Well, you can host one episode of your own show. We can also distribute your content. So for example, Maggie, the substitute teacher, she creates all of her own content, and then it gets distributed on our platform. Some of our content, let's say Red shows, get distributed on other channels such as E360 TV, Amazon, as well as Xizzle TV. So by distributing the content, more people are getting access to your shows. You can also host your own TV show. Like Red is not only a friend, but a client, and has 3 of his own shows. So we produce the shows, we do the search engine optimization, and we make it simple. Red shows up and we take care of the rest. Obviously, he's got to be prepared knowing what he's going to, his guests and whatnot. But again, we don't use any scripts here. So if you're a good listener, then you can just go from there. You can co-host your own TV show with me. And this is a good option if you are new to broadcasting, so that I do a lot of the heavy lifting as opposed to you starting the show and closing the show and maybe answering comments. I can do that heavy lifting until you feel comfortable. You can also be an expert presenter on talking heads if you've had 5 or more years of experience and you're comfortable with presenting information. So it's not an interview, it's you presenting your knowledge and your expertise. You can be a panelist on our show, A Woman's Prerogative. We actually have 2 episodes of A Woman's Prerogative on Mondays. I was hosting both of them, and I'm very happy to say that I've turned both of them over to Caroline Heward, and she's doing a fantastic job. You can join our team by becoming an elevated listener. So everyone who is on our team has to be an elevated listener. What's involved? Not that much. You just have to listen to a course, watch and listen to a course I've created. I actually have a whole group of courses that I've created now. So they're all under the area of listening. And once you take the first course, Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening, you'll get a 7-question quiz. And then when you pass the quiz, you get a certificate. And many people actually put the certificate on their website. They put it on their LinkedIn so that people know that they're actually interested in listening at an elevated level. And if you're not familiar with what that is, take the course and you'll find out. You could also go to our website, usaglobaltv.com, drjacalyn.com, and there are quizzes there on the website where you can test your listening skills. We also host events. So if you have a special event that you're doing and you want to be able to stream that event, that's something that we can do for you also. We also do advertising. So if you would like to be a sponsor for our show, we'd love to have you. So we can create the sponsorship for you if you like for an additional cost. That includes the video, the audio, and the voiceover. Or maybe you already have content that you've created, then we can stream that for you as well. And it's great because not only do we stream it on one show, we can stream it on all the shows. We can stream it on half the shows. So it depends. Every time that show gets played, whether it's a show that you have, your sponsorship could be played on somebody else's shows. So we do search engine optimization. We also do editing. So if you're interested in your guest and you want to have an edited version, we can do that. We write press releases and we also do press release distribution. All right, so let's move on to the next thing. So the next thing is book your session. This is where you would go if you would like to be a guest. Now, you can be a guest up to 3 times in a calendar year, unless you're a team member. So if you joined our team as an elevated listener, you can book in as many times as possible. Now, I do caution because if you are coming on, and we've had this recently, you've written a book, for example, and you book in and we see you every week, you're on twice, and you're talking about the same book. Not the best, not ideal. Maybe space it out so that you come back a little bit later, maybe come back with another, maybe you did a speech somewhere or you have a book signing coming up. Let there be something else that you can add because the audience just saw you. So are you bringing some new information that you have to share? I think that's really key. Now, you can certainly come back again after 3 if you're not a team member, and you have to pay a fee. And why pay a fee? Because you're taking up time from somebody else, somebody who we haven't seen before. So here it is. And it's obviously reasonable, $55.97 after you've done your 3 interviews. We've got testimonials from people all over the world. And then you can obviously come and be on Xizzle. You can be on E360, as I mentioned. Here are some of our shows. So you come down here to book your session. And we were just talking with Red a few minutes ago. Here's the wise one. So I'm going to walk you through this quickly. You'll see some of the things that are here. There's a fee. So for example, I'm holding a masterclass in London in June. There's a fee for that. There's a fee for the reunion show. So most of our shows, there is no fee. So you're going to come here and you're going to say, okay, what's this? Okay, well, Red has an opening apparently on the 16th. So if you'd like to be a guest on the Wise Ones on the 16th of January, you'd click this. You notice here the show times are in Eastern time zone only. Okay, so that means if you live in the UK, you're going to have to add 5 hours to it. If you're on Central time, you're going to take an hour away, etc. Come here, click on book. And then you'll see here's the Wise Ones, no fee. So enter your information. And when you come down here, please, please, please answer these questions. Give us 3 to 5 topics that you like to discuss. I see paragraphs of information from people, and bless you. Thank you so much for sharing. We can't possibly cover that in 40 minutes. I mean, and it's not even 40 minutes because we have an intro and we have an outro. So try to be succinct. And if you can't think exactly, maybe you go to artificial intelligence and say, can you streamline this? Just a suggestion. Okay, how did you find us? We want to be able to thank people. So-and-so sent you. Some people put a friend. Could you tell us the friend's name? Because we like to thank the friend for doing so. And then please do email us your bio and your social media links. I can't tell you if I'm creating the promo for the show and you don't send in your bio and I'm over on LinkedIn and I don't see you. And I think to myself, wait, you're an entrepreneur, but you do not have a LinkedIn account. First thing I think to myself, something doesn't make sense. So typically what I think is you probably are working for somebody and you don't want them to know you have a business. And that's totally fine. But give us the information so that we can best spotlight you and we have a background for you. So if you're on Instagram, Facebook, link, wherever it is that you are, if you've written a book, books, if you're speaking, send us links so that we can watch your speech, so that we can see what your book is about, so that we can put you in the spotlight in the best possible way. Our job is to make you the hero you are. So please make it a little bit easier for us. That would be appreciated. Okay, so you come down here, and when you're finished all of this, this button, confirm booking, I think it turns black or gray. You might have to hit tab so that it does. Then click that. Then you're going to get an email confirming that you're on the show. And then it's going to go onto your calendar. So this part is really important. Once you've booked in as a guest, you will then receive a link prior to the show. Now, I have this conversation with people all the time. They'll say, my show's in 3 months. Can you send me the link? No. Why? Because I've done it. And it's 3 months later and you can't find the link. And then you're reaching out the day before saying, I need the link, I need the link. Well, we sent you the link. So now what we do is we send the link typically the night before the show, because then it's going to be at the top of your email. Now, the only time that wouldn't make sense or wouldn't be a good idea is if you're going to connect your destinations so that we stream to your platforms. What does that mean? Everyone who's a guest who has social media platforms, whether it is Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Instagram, which is a little tricky, or Twitter. We'll talk about the Instagram in a minute. We can stream to 2 of your destinations. So Red was here with me. We were streaming to 2 of his destinations. Maggie, the substitute teacher, was here. We were streaming to 2 of her destinations. So every time you come on to StreamYard, you'll be required to bring those 2 destinations back up. So you have to create a StreamYard account. I believe it's free. And then you can stream live to your audience. So what's the value in this? The value is you can say to your network, to your community, hey, I've got this interview coming up. I'd love for you to watch. Oh, where do I watch it? Okay, USA Global TV and Radio. Fantastic. We love that. Or you could say, you know what? You're on my Facebook page. You're my Facebook friend. It'll be streaming there. That's if you connect the destinations. After the show's over, we're going to send you a survey. And the survey is truly important. And I have to say, my nephew is the one who came up with the idea of this survey, I think 2 years ago. We ask you for your feedback. We really care. Our team cares. How did we do? How did you feel about the interview? And then we also give you information about how you can join our team. And you can set up a meeting to discuss what it is you want to do. And maybe from the Join Us section, you didn't see anything that resonated with you, but you have another idea. Share it. We love to hear ideas. We'd love to see how we can showcase what it is that you are doing. Okay, so I want to go back to the website and just show you something else. So let me share my screen again. And then we're going to be closing up soon. I want to go over to our YouTube channels. Okay, so this is where you come to book your session, and all of the shows are here. And you'll see, just keep going down and going down and going down, and then see all. Okay, so there's so many shows, they can't all fit on the same page. So keep going down. I think we're on 3 pages now, and find the show that you want. Some of the shows, and this is important, some of the shows are by invitation only. What does that mean? Okay, here's one. Keith Saltoyanis. And again, Keith, we hope that you are safe and that you are doing very well there, as well as can be expected in California. Keith has his own guests. He records in advance. He used to record with me, but now he actually sends in the recordings and we put on the front and the end. I think he actually does the whole thing himself. He does. So he has his own guests. So we've had people book in for this and they don't understand that what he's doing is not in alignment with what they want to be interviewed on. So some people want their own guests, and I respect that. So please check and see if it says by invitation of host only. All right. So the last thing I want to share with you is our YouTube channels. So let's come over here. And I need just about 10 minutes of your time. So our YouTube channel is USA Global TV and Radio. And by the way, since we've been broadcasting since this morning, we just crossed over 60,000 subscribers. Yay, round of applause. And this is where you would come. We would love to have you ring the bell, click the bell, ring the bell, click the bell, follow us, subscribe to our shows. And what typically happens is these that you see here where it looks the same, this show graphic, they are podcasts. So the shows get turned into podcasts, not magically, we do it. We have to upload the content to the platforms, and then that happens. The podcasts do not have search engine optimization on them. The shows on this platform, USA Global TV and Radio, they do have search engine optimization. So what does that mean? We have a team of people who are experts in search engine optimization, and they will start doing their work after the show has streamed. Once it's streamed, it may take a week, it may take 5 days, who knows? It's the YouTube algorithm, and what that does whatever it does. And then all of a sudden you'll see that there are authentic views and likes. And then I can see how many people have subscribed as a result of that show. So that is the channel where we really would like everyone to go. If you're watching right now on a different platform, if you could go over to YouTube and follow us, connect with us, subscribe, ring the bell, etc. Not ring the bell again with the bell ringing. Okay. So the next thing, the last thing I want to share with you is we have a second YouTube channel. And you probably wonder what's the reason for this. So this channel, Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, 23,000 subscribers. This channel was created in 2021 because we had a team member who was waiting for a guest, and the guest didn't arrive. And so the guest had been interviewed on a major network, and the show host went to YouTube and found the documentary from the, I'm not going to say ABC, NBC, CBS, one of those. Okay. And they started streaming that show. And I was producing the show, and all of a sudden the screen went black, just like at the end of The Sopranos. It just went black, and I had no idea what that meant. And lo and behold, I got an email from YouTube that they shut down the show, and they put a strike on the channel. And they put a strike on the channel because we didn't have permission to stream that show. So even though the show was on YouTube, the video was on YouTube, we weren't allowed to run a major network show on our show. We didn't have permission. So I created the second platform in case the YouTube algorithm gods ever got mad again, that at least all of our content was in one place. But we haven't had this platform as long, and there is no search engine optimization on this yet. And you say to yourself, well, why wouldn't you just do the search engine optimization? Because it is extremely expensive. So most people are watching on our other channel, but I have to say we have a completely different audience on this channel than we do on the other one. On USA Global TV and Radio, most of our audience is male. On the Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, most is female. The Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, most is from the US and the UK, whereas on USA Global, it's truly global, it's all different countries around the world. So it is interesting, and we will do search engine optimization on this eventually, but that's not where we're going at the moment. So where we're going at the moment is I am working on having an app developed for us so that you could just go on your phone or your device and you just click USA Global TV and Radio and you could watch everything there. It's seemingly very involved. I've gotten 5 bids so far, and it doesn't seem like anyone is really consistent with anyone else. So since I've already taken the bait and fallen for things that were not a genuine, like Roku, the person I was working with, I have to be very careful. So I'm not going to just rush in and make a decision. I really have to be able to interview these people and talk to some of their clients to make sure that it's absolutely legitimate. So to Red's point, we did cross over 2 million views on YouTube alone last year. The other platforms, I don't have the numbers. I don't get any reports. I'm sure that's something that could happen. I just have to look into it and find out how do we get the reports. But just knowing just on YouTube that we have those numbers, that doesn't include any of the other platforms or the Amazons or the E360 or the Xizzle, etc. So keep in mind that our whole mission here is to give people a place to share their voice. We would love to hear from you. We want to hear from you. We want to make you feel as comfortable as possible that you're truly listened to. But in order to do that, you have to take the steps. You have to go to our website and sign up. People book in to have meetings with me. I just had a meeting with someone the other day, and I'm happy to do it. If you know that you want to be a guest and you have a story to share, please go to the website. You don't have to speak to me. You don't have to have permission. Go to the website, usaglobaltv.com, and feel free to go ahead and book in. Feel free to reach out to our team members, connect with them on LinkedIn. If you like the show that you're watching today, reach out to Red, reach out to Maggie, reach out to Brooke, reach out to Tracy, reach out to me. It's not that difficult. Find our names, social media platforms, and just follow, connect. We would love to have you. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Come back and see us again for the reunion show part 2 on Wednesday. I think we might have 15 people now. I don't know. It's going to be tough to see how we fit everyone in, but we will make it happen. I know Reb will be there supporting me, and we are here to support you. So we're going to close out with some promotions for myself and the work that I do. In addition to being here and running this platform and continuing to grow it, I also have another business, which is Dr. JACALYN LLC, and I teach people how to listen at an elevated level. I'm known as the Listening Mentor. We have a TV show called The Listening Mentor, and we teach you how to listen without judgment, without problem solving, without providing solutions, and without interruption. And I teach these courses various places. I've taught it in London, taught it to master's students in Zambia. I've taught it at various libraries. Thanks to Red for the suggestion on that. And I'm looking forward to teaching it as a masterclass in London in June. So let's take a look at this, and then we will see you tomorrow for our regularly scheduled programs. Thanks again. Bye, everyone.
In a world full of noise, misunderstandings, and interruptions, master the art of listening with Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. Dr. JACALYN KERBECK is the listening mentor of USA Global TV and Radio and the Amazon #1 best-selling author of Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening. Elevate your listening. Elevate your life. Join a global learning experience in person or via Zoom. Reserve your spot today. usaglobaltv.com/book-your-session or drjacalyn.thinkific.com. Join Dr. KERBECK's listening courses or hire her to unlock deeper connections and authentic conversations. Have you ever felt unheard? Like your words float into a void, leaving you invisible and disconnected? How about feeling judged, when assumptions overshadow your truth, leaving you misunderstood and defensive? And then there's that moment when someone offers solutions you never asked for, dismissing your feelings and leaving you more frustrated than before. It doesn't have to be this way. Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, the listening mentor, understands. She's here to help you reclaim your voice, build stronger connections, and create meaningful conversations that inspire understanding and mutual respect. Through her groundbreaking books, online and in-person courses, and interactive workshops, you'll learn how to navigate life's most challenging interactions. Discover the power of elevated listening and transform how you communicate. Master setting boundaries and asking permission to protect your peace. Learn to recognize and release judgment, fostering empathy and true connection. Dr. KERBECK also offers personalized coaching, one-on-one or group sessions designed to fit your unique needs. Whether in person or virtually on StreamYard, her guidance will empower you to thrive. You don't have to struggle alone. The path to deeper connections and better relationships start here. Visit drjacalyn.com or usaglobaltv.com. Join a global community of empowered listeners and transform your life, one meaningful conversation at a time. Dr. JACALYN KERBECK is the listening mentor. Start your journey today.